features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
We're searching for leopards through the golden grass. Will we find them? You'll just have to wait and see. This is Safari Live.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. It feels as though the Sunrise Safari just ended a few minutes ago. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Craig, aka Batman, and we have been put on leopard duty by Ali. So Ali and Senzo are of course out and about on the other car, and we will join them a little bit later. Or yes, you hopefully will. And we've also changed cars. I am in Jigger, Ali is in Rusty, and hopefully between the two of us we're going to find some awesome things. She says she's not looking for leopards today. She's leoparded out. She's seen spots, and too many more spots. So hopefully she'll find some lions a bit later. But of course this is a live and interactive safari, so hashtag Safari Live on Twitter with all of your questions or your comments. Now, this is the area that we had Tamba and Shongile. I've already checked where I saw Shadow, so in case you missed my update earlier, it wasn't even Hosanna that was here, it was indeed ended up being Shadow. So she ran quite a distance away from her kill, and she was she was up in the tree, and then she moved off into the drainage where I suspect she went to fetch her cub again. And now I'm just checking very carefully as I try to concentrate through some of this stuff to see if there are any shady spots where these leopards perhaps have gone, because I can't see them in their original positions. Just up top here in the silver cluster leaf was where Tamba was laying, and you can see all the way up there, but there's no more leopard here. And Shongile was just moving around at the base of the tree. She looked like she was maybe moving towards Treehouse Dam. So I think that's exactly where we're going to go now. Let's go to the closest area where there's water, because it has been super hot, so maybe they did stop for a drink. We have to get out of here, of course. No, so we didn't find Shadow. I'm just watching as I reverse it. I didn't drive over anything. We didn't find Shadow. We didn't find the cub. We haven't found Shongile yet, and we haven't found Tamba. Maybe we will. I think shade and water, cool spots are going to be places that we need to check today. Let's go here, not drive over the sickle bush and get a flat tire. Okay, but I do see some Impala around the dam. Not that that means anything. Those leopards could just be lying off to the side, waiting patiently and hoping to snack on something. I'm just checking, there's some really nice trees here that if I was a leopard I would probably lay in. Right, over we go. Sorry, we're doing some really hectic off-roading here. Sorry, Impala. Now, Lauren, you were wondering, how do I think as I bumble through here? Sorry, it's very difficult to try and navigate through this thicket and not hurt the car and try and look for leopards. How do I think that Tandi would react to Shongile? Sure, it's a tough question. I don't know. I've never seen another female leopard with an offspring that wasn't hers with her offspring. I think it might not be a great reaction in the beginning, because Tandi's obviously quite protective over Tamba, which is nothing unusual. So I don't know if it would be the greatest meeting. I think they might hiss and stuff, and probably Shongile will run away. I don't think she's silly enough to hang around a spot where she's not welcome. My goodness. So 4 of the leopards we want to see are not here. That's no good. Okay, well, let's do a little loop around then. And then go in this way to go and see if Tingana is perhaps about. I just want to make sure that again, they could just be lying at the base of a tree, and there is so much grass still around, it would be very difficult to spot them. But we will come back here a little bit later again anyway, and just triple check to see if they do wake up, maybe they come out. Right. We'll just switch off and then I'll listen and see if we can hear anything. But the wind has picked up quite a great amount now, so I don't know how much we're really going to hear. A couple of birds hanging about though. No signs of animals alarming. Just some birds chirping. Oh, Craig, just in the shade of this marula tree to the right, a bird has just landed on the ground. It's bobbing over there, in there somewhere. If we have a look on the ground, there it is. Look at that one. That is a ground scraper thrush. And they're quite lovely birds. They're really funny. They spend quite a bit of time on the ground. Normally you'll see two of them. They're monogamous. But sometimes you'll see them. One of my favorite things is you'll hear them calling. And you sort of think to yourself, you start looking on the ground because that's where they spend most of their time. But when they get a fright or they are frightened, they fly to the very tops of the trees. And it's sort of sitting right out on the edges, quite exposed. They don't spend a lot of time up in the trees, but they do for safety, which I find so interesting. And look at all those streaking on the breast. It's such a beautiful, striking bird with the most gorgeous eye markings too. Well, it's just run off to the left on the screen. But anyways, that bird is also off on a mission, probably going to come down to have something to drink. Ali is also out and about, and I know that she'd like to say good afternoon.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this wonderful, very hot afternoon all the way from Greater Kruger National Park. My name is Ellie, and on camera today with me I've got Senzo, and we are very happy to have you all on board. I know there were some rumors started by Taylor that I'm all leopard out, but I could never possibly be. I do, however, think that we are all leopard out because they all seem to be in roughly the same spot. What an incredible morning we had today. So I have decided that maybe the leopards grabbed all of our lucky beans luck, so I'm in search for more lucky beans. See if perhaps we can carry on with this good luck that we've had. Anything is possible, so who knows, maybe we'll find another sneaky leopard hiding somewhere else. Why not? If you've got any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you, so just use the hashtag #SafariLive and we will get back to you. I am really enjoying this hot weather. I think this morning was the first time since I've been here where I actually took all my layers off. And you know, I normally wear like 2 jerseys, one of those vests and gloves and the scarf, and today was just down to a shirt. And I think today might have been a good way to go the old Taylor McCurdy fashion way, just wearing shorts, but I felt that maybe I was being too brave. I don't know, we'll see about that. Right, so long it doesn't seem that there are too many tracks around here, so I'm slowly making my way to the Buffelshoek Dam area. I'm hoping that maybe because it is so hot we'll get lucky with some ellies or maybe some buffalo close to the dam. That would be a wonderful sight of having them all around, but I wonder. There are odd signs of elephants that have been walking down the road, but I'm nothing that's particularly too fresh, let's put it that way. But who knows, maybe we'll get there and they would have come from somewhere else. And also just keeping an eye out for possibly any lions that might be around here. I know the sticks were seen walking down this road, or well, they weren't seen, we saw their tracks walking down this road yesterday. And I believe they have crossed out of our traverse into the southern area, and it seems like good old Nkuhumas did a bit of a loop in the last few nights, and then they were, I believe, in Manialeti last night, and then I think this morning they were seen somewhere around Simambili. So I also want to check the southern boundary just a little bit later, see if perhaps they've decided to come home and say hello to all of us. So hopefully that'll be the plan for the day, and I trust Taylor will be able to find at least one of those leopards. I'm sure she will. They'll probably be there up in the trees waiting for her to say hello. Because I think she's officially been invited to the leopard fiesta that's been going on. What a morning. I still couldn't believe when we were getting the updates on the radio and we were hearing so many different names in the same sighting, and of so many different females and males that haven't really been seen together for a very long time. So that was that was quite something, wasn't it? Very special to see all of those leopards and have all that semi-interaction between them and just see them all close by. It's definitely not something we get to see every day. Julie, you're wondering if a female leopard would kill another female leopard's cubs. Yeah, definitely. They represent competition for her offspring. So a lot of the times they pretty much just take them out. It's the same if they were to find, if leopard cubs were to be found by lions or hyenas, and any other potential predator around. They would very likely take them out just because they compete for the same resources, the same water, food, territories. So they don't, if they can get rid of some of the competition, then they do. But I think maybe our youngest leopards, because they all came from the same mother, and they are all of different ages, and we've seen all of this incredible interaction today, or maybe not interaction, but tolerance of space, of leopards having or being so close to each other. Maybe they would, I don't know, up to a certain level recognize each other and maybe just, have a bit of aggression, but then walk their separate ways. Also, the ones that we saw today are not tiny little leopards anymore. They are sub-adults, 3 of them, funny enough, and then two of them were adults, 1 male, 1 female, and then somewhere in the area we think there might have been a very young cub too. So out of all of them, I would say the tiny cub was the one that was more at risk, but the mother wasn't too far from where he was, or where she was, because it is a girl, I remember now. James, you're wondering why Tamba and Shangila were so related to each other this morning, and if it's perhaps anything due to the fact that neither one of them is an adult leopard and they don't have their own territories yet. It could be. It could be that maybe Shangila, because she's forced into adulthood, she'll be coming into estrus, and then she's feeling connected. Leopards, I think it's just a very big puzzle for all of us. We're not too sure where thing happened or why those animals were together, but it'll be quite interesting to see how it plays out this afternoon, see if perhaps they're all still together. I think Shangile is almost an exceptionally sociable leopard, and she's been around so many others, and maybe she just saw Tamba and doesn't really recognize it as a potential enemy, but as someone that's roughly her age, maybe a potential playmate. So many options. I'm not too sure which one it could be. I think it could go from everything from her going into heat to just being curious. Right, we're gonna carry on going on to Buffelshoek Dam, but let's see what Taylor has been up to during his bumble about.
Off-roading. Off-roading so much that I don't even know where I am anymore. So that's what we're doing. So it's lots of fun. So I've got my GPS on now, because this block is huge, and I thought that it was going to be so easy to find Tungana, except that there's about 3 different tracks coming in and out of the property, and Craig doesn't remember which tree it was. So we're trying our very best, but you'll see me, I am on my mobile device. It's because I am trying to follow the map, because I've now got myself stuck, and there's some very thorny trees here. Which way are we going? I think Treehouse Dam is just below us, to be honest, so let's go back this way. I knew that this was going to happen. I thought that it was too good to be true to have, or to see 3 leopards in one game drive. And now look, we can't even find one of them, and we're on the last one. This is quite humorous, actually. I suppose, like I said this morning, you've got to find the funny side and things. We'll just go here, through that, through some of these little warthog burrow things. A couple of them. Craig, let's hope for no picture. Right. Guys, I have to really do some concentrating here because of the long grass. It's very difficult to see. At least Jigger actually turns quite sharply. No, this is not where I want to be. I don't actually want to be down in here. There's the road. Is that a road? Yes, it's a road. Whew! Craig, I was starting to panic a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Okay, let's go back to the dim. Let's try luck there again. Right, out of 4x4 and then we stall. Okay, I want to just check all around these drainage systems and check for tracks to see if they have been moving around.
It seems like we have managed to find one of the last survivors. Let's go and have a closer look at one of my favorite little creatures out here. I was so excited to see it that I think I gave Senzo a fright. Can you guys see this tiny little thing here? We found one of the last dung beetles. Yay! I am so excited to see this little thing, and he's carrying not only a lot of dung, and it's quite a beautifully formed ball, if I may say so, well done, but lots of flies around him. And you see it's mated with the dung of an elephant, and it seems to be a bit moist still, so the flies, I'm sure, are just here going down for the sodium and pretty much anything else they can find. What a monumental task. I mean, going all the way up into this little mound just to try and get its bowl onto wherever it is that he's decided to carry it around. Whew, I always feel sorry for them because, you know, they always push with their hands and then they start pushing back, and it's their long legs that manage to somewhat keep the ball rolling. No, no, you can do this. We have faith. See, often they'll come back up onto the ball. If the ball rolls onto the wrong direction, they'll look around, get the sense of where they're supposed to go, and then they'll start trying again. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a stick not too far, so I wonder if maybe he's trying to avoid it. But what a beautiful bowl he's managed to build. Very, very round. Very proud of you. Oh, are you going down now? So, a lot of the times the dung beetles, he's going to probably carry this ball somewhere into the bush where he's going to bury it, or bring it to his potential mate as a gift for food, because, you know, that is apparently the way to our hearts. People just need to bring us food. I don't like mine in the form of dung, so Tristan, don't get any ideas. But it is a serious proof of love, of endurance, and wanting to make sure that you manage to survive, or your children manage to survive onto the next season. Now, everything's becoming a lot colder, so we're not going to be seeing too many of these ones around. And I think it is quite special that we've seen one more. Now we're seeing a lot of them just dead on the sides of the road or in the bush when we're walking. So beautiful little thing. I'm sure this is going to be slightly easier for you. Come on, you can do this. Yes, come on. Oh, my goodness. Yes, you managed to do it. Very happy for you. Now getting all the way around. Whew, what a distance. I don't know if he's actually thought through too well. I can see there's another one in here, making a bowl as well. So you see, all of this elephant dung is still quite fresh, and probably from sometime this morning, I would say. And there's one that we saw rolling away, and there's another one that's in the middle of the dung still, trying to make his bowl. But he's struggling a little bit because he's made it right in the middle of the dung, and the bowl is sitting in the middle. So he's actually he needs to be able first to roll his ball of dung out of the dung to then be able to roll it away home. So we're gonna go around them because we obviously don't want to hurt them, as they are such pretty incredible things. And I'm gonna plug myself in here again. Huh. Alright, sorry Chantal, Census just relaying a message about a possible question. No. Bowls of dung. Well, they do a couple of different things, but mostly they eat them, they consume them. So some of the... Sorry, I just want to go around. Alrighty, so they do a few different things with their bowls of dung. What will happen at the beginning of the rainy season in general is we'll see the males making their bowl, and then they'll roll away with the female on top, and they roll, you know, with their beautiful bowl of dung. It's called a nuptial bowl, and then they will consume it, and a lot of the times the males try to impress the females with the bowls that they roll. Now, after a female has chosen a male, then the male will come back and, build another bowl, and then take it back to her, which they will consume because they will use it for food. But the females also are very clever in the way that they're going to try and help their little ones grow at the beginning of the next rainy season or sustain their life throughout winter. Larvae that's going to hatch later on during the season. So when it comes out, it'll already have food that it'll be able to eat around. So sometimes when we do bushwalks, we find it's almost like modified bowls of dung, or very, very dry, and in the middle we see that there's nothing. Honey badgers are very clever, and they know that if they find these bowls of dung, they'll be able to find it's almost like a Kinder egg. They'll be able to find a little surprise inside. So they tend to come and eat them a lot. And they will fight over the bowls of dung, but they use them for shelter, for home, and to impress females. So lots of things are done with this little bowls of dung. I think our friend here is still rolling away. I'm not too sure how long he will have to carry on to be able to get it to wherever it is that home might be for him, or where there might be a girl waiting, perhaps to lay an egg, or perhaps to maybe consume this bowl of dung. There we go. Can you imagine the monumental task of rolling this bowl away? Pressure with the task that he's got, and let's go to Taylor, who's busy tracking all the leopards.
Yes, still tracking leopards and just staring at the ground at the moment. There are some leopard tracks here, but I think they're still the ones from this morning. Although maybe not. Let's have a look at them. Just want to point my car here. Let me just see if I can find one that's far enough away to have a look at. Yeah, can you see here, Craig, where my shoe is? Was that too close? There is a female leopard track just in here. Now I'm just trying to look at it. It doesn't look very big. I think it could be Shongile's footprint. But that means she's been moving around. That's on top of Herbie's tire tracks from this morning. That tread is from the car that Herbie was driving. So that's quite interesting. There's just one set. Or maybe they're just slightly distorted. It is quite windy. It has been quite windy today. Maybe even Tundi coming back. But Shongile's got fairly little feet. But let's go searching anyway. Now we've gone around, we've done a couple of loops, but we're going to go in again. They have to be around there. I don't think they would have gone too far. And we'll sort of see what we can find. No, what are you two doing? Are you thirsty? Two Impala rams. Oh, boys. I think they are coming down to have a drink here at Shubamu Pans. Or are you just walking past? No, coming down for a little drink. They don't seem to be that cautious around the water. I don't know if you noticed that. I mean, when you see zebras approaching water, my goodness, it takes them ages. These boys barge straight down. And perhaps it's a sort of lack of experience from this youngster that we're looking at. He's not particularly old. He's a few years old. He's definitely not as wise as the one that's on his way down to the watering hole now. He's beautiful. He's got a stunning set of horns, and that's just sort of how I'm aging him. I'd probably put him at about 5 years old, maybe even a little bit older than that. He's a beautiful ram. And they better be careful around here. I would have been a lot more vigilant, like this one's doing, sort of stopping. He is paying a lot of attention to us, but he's listening to sounds behind him. Look at his ears moving. And because there's quite a bit of wind today, I'd definitely be a lot more nervous. He didn't quite race in like the youngster though, and start drinking water. Are you going to go for a drink? Or are you too worried about us now? And this isn't the cleanest water. I wouldn't want to have a sip of this. This has had all sorts of different animals rolling around in it, trying to keep themselves nice and cool. I've actually forgotten the temperature. Chantal, what is the temperature again today? It must be the high 70s at least. Maybe even more, maybe in the 80s. 87. Sure. That's crazy. That's very, very hot, especially for the middle of winter. But thank you, Impala. Let's keep going. They don't seem too bothered. The other one's not stopping. Sip of that filthy water. That's revolting. I'll rather go elsewhere and have a drink. I'd just follow the elephants around all the time, to be honest, and wait for them to dig out those beautiful wells and the drainage systems or the riverbeds and drink from that. And it'll be cool. That's been bubbling away in the sun. Drinking a glass of that makes me cringe. All that bacteria, but they'll be used to it. They won't really be affected by the dirty water. It's more of a preference that elephants like the cleaner water. So we're going to keep searching and checking every shady spot for a spotted creature. Brent has just joined all the way from the Mara Triangle, and I know he'd like to greet all of you.
Welcome to a gorgeous afternoon here in the Masai Mara for your very own live privately guided safari. My name is Brent Smith, and I'll be joining Taylor and Ali as we take you on an African adventure. Remember, if you want to ask us any questions, use the hashtag Safari Live. I have Dangerous Dave Eastor on camera, and we're with the Olololo Pride. There we go. Oh, she's up at the perfect time. Now, this pride has recently had 3 tiny little babies, and I'm not sure, that doesn't look like mom, and they're somewhere in this lugga. A lugga is a little river system, and we haven't managed to see the cubs yet. Some of the Angama guides have told me about it, but there we go. You can see it's a beautiful lugga surrounded by quinine trees. Where are you off to, big girl? She looks like she's eaten quite well recently, and I think, yes, she just got a bit hot in the spot she was in, so she decided to pop down for a little rest. Now, the Olololo Pride and the Angama Pride are very, very closely related. So they are breakaways from the original Marsh Pride on the other side of the river. And 7 lionesses came across the river in 2014, and they are still friends, sort of, but they will sometimes be seen together, but generally these 3 lionesses spend all their time together, and then the 4 Angama girls spend time further to the southwest from here. So they're more towards the most northern crossing point in the river, this pride, whereas the Angama Pride is around the Samaki Swamp, right up to the Out of Africa area. Bobby says she looks pregnant. Bobby, I think she's pregnant full of warthog, so I think her belly's just quite full, and just you can see by the way she's breathing, it's not that hot, so I think she is just very, very, very full. Now, what a lovely spot to spend the afternoon. Oh, look at, isn't that cute? Look how she's just leaning her head on the top of the bank. And as the lions go, that's a pretty good spot. You know, unsuspecting warthog or something else might just wander up and get snacked upon. Of course, the fat lady has made it a bit more difficult by lying out in the open. So we are slowly learning the different dynamics of the prides here, but it is going to take a while before we completely understand everything. Richard says the cubs must be nearby. Richard, as far as I know, the den's probably about a kilometre from here, and it isn't uncommon for lionesses to leave their cubs and move even further than that away from them in terms of going to hunt. So they're unable to provide enough milk for their cubs unless they can provide enough meat for themselves. So they are sometimes quite far away from the cubs, and they also they'll move back there normally once a day to feed. Sometimes they'll leave them for even 2 or 3 days before returning to them. Isn't that cute? Now, judging that the one female's got such a fat belly, I would say the other two probably have also got lovely fat bellies. Claire says the one in the center looks super happy. Well, if a lion's got a fat belly, it's a happy creature. So I'm sure it is very happy then. Oh, she's up again. I think that big fat belly is causing some discomfort. Looks like she's going to walk down towards us. And we might just move the vehicle a little bit when she disappears beyond this little rise in front of us. Oh, there she goes. Okay, I'm going to jump down into my turret and let's keep following her. Isn't this exciting? Remember, this is 100% live coming to you from Kenya. Now, I wonder if they don't have a kill around, or she's just going to go find a nice shady bush to sleep in. I think that's exactly what she's up to. And you can now see how even an animal as big as a lion can disappear in even the most innocuous of little bushes. No, she is very full, very fat. How's that, Dave? There's a car coming. I'm just going to sit there for now. I'm just going to wait for the vehicle to go past. And just see where they stop. Okay. Say when, Davey?
Yeah, just a little more. It's alright.
There we go. And you can see she's an extremely well-fed, oh dear, I'm pulling cables out of things, lioness. I think I might have disconnected my comms. No, I haven't. Okay, we're all good. So there we go. She's just got a little bit hot out there in the sun, and she's come to lie in this little bush to hide from that scorching African sun. Now, even though it's always quite cool up here, as we are about 1,600 meters above sea level where we're sitting currently, and the sun does take its toll on you. But at this time of the year, well, the rainy season is extending into June this year, and you can hear some thunder, and I think we might have to dash a little bit later, as that is exactly where our weather comes from. So hopefully it just stays away for a little bit longer so we can show you some more Masai Mara magic. Well, Aaron is asking, the same coalition of 4 males that are dominant over the Angama pride and dominant over the Olololo pride as well. Indeed, they are, Aaron. So they are the same lionesses. Good luck. They are the same males that dominate over both prides. But I don't think these lions, judging from their fat bellies, I think another lioness is on her way. I'm just going to see quickly if she comes towards us. There you go, you can see the aerials that are bringing you the picture there, very briefly. Now, I can't really see if she is as full as the lioness. She does, no, she is as full. There we go. And I don't think they're going to move too much. Because they have got those wonderful big bellies full of I'm not sure what. Like the Angama pride and the pride they spawned from, the marsh pride, they are very, very, very adept warthog hunters. Hi, Ali. Ali would like to know, do the lions migrate as well? They do not. The lion prides are resident. There are some young males that are said to follow the migration, but again, it'll never be through the whole migration. It'll only be for little bits of it. So they don't migrate, Ali. These are very good looking girls though. Now, I think they're probably they're in a good spot here. There's lots of water around, and they've got full bellies, not too far away from the cubs. So I don't think they're going to move too far today. There we go. Now, can you believe the first time I came to this particular part of Kenya, I stayed very, very close to here, and I was about 10 years old, and the memory I have from that time is actually lions feeding on a hippo. Ali's got a live one back in South Africa.
We do have a live one, thankfully. I don't think I'm ready for Brent's lions to come and kill this hippo. He's quite friendly. Maybe the lions can come now that he's gone underneath the water and he's not with us. No, if you look closely at the water, you can see all the ripples. The wind is quite strong at the moment, and I think that's what's making this hippo a bit uneasy. So he keeps coming up and down, and there's a lot of water going up in the air when he flares his nostrils and just expels it almost like a whale. He is, however, down there. I am hoping that he will at least be friendly enough to say hello one last time. I had hope that some of the ellies would come around this area because it is very hot this afternoon, but perhaps they just either managed to find another water hole, or it isn't as hot for them as I thought it could have been. Come on, hippo. No, nothing. You see, in lots of areas, this is exactly why they are so dangerous and why they kill so many people in Africa. If you look at this, it looks like a very peaceful dam. Nothing around here. No crocodiles, no lions, no leopards, barely any animals, a few birds, terrapins, but nothing really. So you can imagine just how easy it is for pretty much any hippo to hide underneath the water. So when the people come down, and they normally come down to the rivers or the dams around the protected areas to get some water, either for cooking or for drinking or washing. So if they bump into a hippo, you can imagine that they're not going to be too happy to have anything around. And at least the ones that we've got around this particular area, they're quite friendly. Oh, there we go. And they are somewhat used to humans. But when I was doing my field work, I was in the Caprivi strip on the Namibian side, and around there, and I was doing an experiment with crocodiles. And of course, crocodiles share the waterways with a lot of hippos, and we had to go on boats, and it was almost more like a canoe that was barely a boat. And as we would ride close to the hippos, pretty much every single hippo had something to say about us, and they were definitely not too happy and always almost like coming at the boat. And it was a bit of a, I don't know, anxious time, because I was so used to the hippos around this area that are used to humans, and they don't really care. I mean, I've bumped into hippo on foot and they just look at me like, ugh, whatever. And it was a good reminder that these are very dangerous creatures when they're all the way up and you go to an area where they haven't been exposed to as much tourism as they have down here, and just because how fierce they can be. And I ended up even the one afternoon pretty much doing a dance around a tree with a hippo, because we were walking to try to set one of this experiment traps that we were doing, and walking through the reeds, and just very close to the water we bumped into a hippo, and the hippo hadn't seen us, but then it kind of caught our smell, so we ended up going around this very big tree trying to stay away from it so that it wouldn't really see us. So they're they are creatures to be respected for sure. And I know they pull the disappearing act quite often, and we get scared, or well, we don't really get scared when they're in the water, because I mean, he's looking quite sleepy, and it's just like, oh, you know, it's a very friendly cow. But that whole experience was a good reminder that you've always got to respect wildlife, especially in new areas where you don't know, because you don't know what they've been exposed to, what they've been up to. I mean, to me, it was such a shock, the way that they were so unhappy with any sort of boat riding there, and you know, they didn't like when the people came down to the water and the cows, so they were quite impatient, and I'm sure no doubt due to a lot of pressure, human pressure on them. I much prefer this friendly hippo who's looking a bit asleep. Lauren from Illinois, you're wondering if hippos are related to manatees. As far as I know, yes. I would have to double check and let you know, but I think they are. There's only another species of hippo, which is a pygmy hippo, which is a smaller version of a hippo, but I do think manatees are very distantly related to them. But I would have to double check and get back to you on that. I'm not 100% sure. Funny enough, and let me tell you a very interesting story about hippos in South America. As some of you may know, I am from Venezuela, and Venezuela's neighboring country is Colombia. Now, Colombia, run about in the 80s, was very well known for drug dealing, and there was one particular man called Pablo Escobar that was the head of these cartels, and you know, a very important person in the drug dealing world. And the reason why I'm telling you the story is because he was also very passionate about wildlife. So he had a house in the southern part of Colombia, close to some of the major rivers that flow eventually into the Orinoco and the Amazon River, and he had all sorts of crazy creatures around his private zoo. And when he had this private zoo, obviously he decided that hippos were an animal that he wanted to have there, because why not? I mean, he had all the space and pretty much all the drug dealing money he could afford. So he started getting very random things. I believe he had lions, probably even tigers. I think there was a giraffe involved, and he got hippos. The problem with the hippos was that when eventually he was brought to justice and they seized all his goods, I believe that the story goes that they actually didn't know what to do with the hippos, or the hippos somehow managed to escape. And now apparently there are some hippos roaming free in between the rivers between Venezuela and Colombia, and there's pretty much nothing there to stop them. So it's one of those hush-hush stories that people are still trying to figure out what to do, because apparently now there are hippos all the way in South America, thanks to someone that decided to have a zoo a few years ago, and then things weren't done in the appropriate manner that they were. Because you can imagine bringing a hippo into South America. There are no lions there, nothing to eat them. Humans don't know what hippos are, and it's an area that's quite deserted. Not too many people live around there, so they also haven't been exposed to enough humans for the humans to decide to take them out. And again, gigantic waterways, very thick tree canopies. So I'm just, you know, still a bit puzzled about this whole story and how everything came to be. So so it seems like we had, I'm not too sure what the latest news about it were, if people actually did manage to grab the hippos or take them out of the waterways. But the last story I heard by one of the biologists that was working in the southern side of Venezuela was that, you know, they were still kind of roaming free. Now, like I said, I'm not 100% sure if maybe in the last few years they've managed to gather them and it's not a problem anymore, but I do know that there was a general concern at one point about Pablo Escobar's hippos roaming free. But you are a better hippo than that, aren't you? Right, well, I think maybe he's a bit sleepy. Rakesh, you are wondering what the current population of hippos in Africa is. I'm not too sure. It must be quite a sustainable number, because if I'm not mistaken, they are deemed to be a species of list concern for the IUCN Red List, which is a massive international effort, and it's an NGO that catalogs and tries to assess the extinction risk for a lot of different creatures, or actually for all the creatures in the world that we know of. So if I'm not mistaken, they are catalogued as least concern, so there's got to be a healthy number. I would probably put it in the few 100,000 of them. But I don't think they're going to be disappearing anytime soon, although obviously with all of these problems that we have now of habitat loss and a lot of dam construction, a lot of them are finding less spaces where to live, which is nowadays a big concern with wildlife. We are humans, we are expanding and we are limiting their areas to smaller and smaller and smaller patches. We are going to go across to Taylor, who's at another dam, and I wonder what she's looking at.
Same dam. We've done about 10 loops around Treehouse Dam. I'm not leaving this area until I find one of the leopards that are around here. But we just stopped for a little breather, and these two beautiful Waterbuck have come down to have a drink. Now, it's very interesting the way that they're standing. They're obviously doing a completely different tactic to the Impala that we saw coming down to drink from that mud wallow just near the Bamboo Pans. Is that they've approached the water, but I don't think they've gone in and drank just yet. I think they're just sort of scanning, making sure that there isn't anything lurking in the shadows or in the tops of the trees. And eventually they'll turn and have a drink. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some more male Waterbuck in the area, because they normally have quite large bachelor groups, and we've got two Waterbuck of different ages. So we've got the very young one on the left, and then the older gentleman on the right-hand side there, and he's got quite a large splay of horns, and look how, sort of, to me, he just looks so much more alert. And obviously, as animals go on and experience different things, it's just like us with humans, they start to react differently. So you might find that Waterbuck or lots of antelope get chased around quite regularly in water, especially during the winter months when there's literally nowhere else for the animals to go and there's no grass around. If you look at the drought, you'll find the predators, they just come and they sit around the water's edge. It's quite amazing. I'll never forget down at one of the big dams near Earth Lodge in the Southern Sands, the Charleston Pride, and at one point even the Southern Pride, just hung around there at the dam for months at a time. And every afternoon, when you're early in the morning, we were going to pick guests up from our private airstrip, or the private airstrip. You would come past and the lions would just be laying out, and then they would disappear for a while into the rocks, and there would be nothing. And then you'd come back again, and there they would be snacking on some little warthog piglets. That was probably one of the most common sightings I had. But there's quite a few things at the dam. There's obviously lots of birds chirping in the distance, the odd terrapin head, but there's 3 little bee eaters flying around, and I'm hoping to try and get a view of them. But they were on the right, but they're up now in these little bush willows, in these little russet bush willows, just on the left, just up over there. Let's just see if we can watch them fly again. There's one just dropped to the ground. Oh, there they go. See, they're just parading up. They're just landing on the edge of that branch, right near the edge of the road. It's a bit difficult to see, isn't it? It's free position. Let's see if we can go closer, because I don't think we're going to see them from this distance, unfortunately. We're just going to stare at bushes. Yeah, I can see them. Craig, can you spot them with your eyes? You can see that bright green. Let's very quickly see. There we go. They've just landed up on the open now. Craig should be able to spot them. And have a quick look at the little bee eaters. There we go. Woohoo! 2 of them. There were 3, and they're bouncing about trying to catch all the insects that are coming closer to the water. So this is a very, very good feeding area. And speaking of animals that will be spending most of their day in the water during the heat of the day, Brent has got an exception.
Well, we're on the edge of the Mara River, and there's a hippo who's standing on top of a rock. Not quite sure why at the moment. I don't know whether it's been pushed out by the other hippos or it's just having a bit of a suntan. Looks like it's about to go back into the river. Or not. Now, there's massive populations of hippos around the Mara River, and there seems to be a very, not uneasy, but a truce between the crocodiles. Now, you'll probably find that because the crocs don't really harass them too much, because they look at this, this is very interesting. See how that other hippo is shadowing it? So I think that hippo might have been chased out, and that's why it's on the rocks. Now the hippo battles around the edge of this river are epic, and the injuries they sustain during those battles lead them. Look, oh, what's that one up to? No, I can't really see what's going on with those two hippos beyond that one. So I said the wounds they sustain during these titanic battles with each other make them a slightly easier target for the lions and hyenas of the Mara. Now, Karsten in Denmark is wondering, how long do hippos live for? They live for about 40-45 years, and again, it all depends on the area. Now, females generally live a bit of a longer life because they don't have to fight with males, but the males tend to be a bit shorter. You see the croc, Dave? You come to the right a bit in the water.
So there.
A little bit up. There he is.
Ah, there we go.
There we go. There's quite a sizable Nile crocodile. Not too big though. There is a very big croc that is at this particular point in the river, but I think he's under the water at the moment. It's quite a stiff breeze coming through. We're just keeping an eye on the weather behind us. We've picked up a tree on a ridge in the distance, and we've decided that is our safety tree. So if the rain gets there to that tree, we're going to have to make a dash for it, because getting up the hill in the wet is not too fun. We had a massive thunderstorm last night. We also had our first inaugural little barbecue or braai at our camp, well, in the skeleton of our camp, and we had some sausages on the fire and a salad, which we were all very happy about. And what else did we have? Oh, a homemade bacon, tomato and onion relish, which was delicious. No, I didn't quite catch Shelley's question there. I think it was about seeing hippos out of the water. Now, Shelley, normally they do come out of the water at night, but we do see them out of the water during the day quite often. They sunbask. Oh, it's the first hippo Shelley's seen out of the water. We do see them out of the water quite often, especially in the early morning. We catch them on their way back into the river, but it isn't that uncommon to see them lying and basking on the banks during the day, especially if it's a bit of a cooler day to try warm up. Just, what is that there? It's behind the bush for you, Dave, sorry. It was just a hippo doing a roly-poly. Going all the way around, feet were up in the air, but it's over now. Now, this is a spot that the zebras cross quite often at, and they cross throughout the year here. So we just came to have a quick look to see if there were any zebras thinking about swimming and braving the murderous Mara River crocodiles. I think we're going to now carry on and have a little bumble down the river, and we're still hoping to have our first really good leopard sighting, and I think this area has got massive potential for that. There's quite a strong breeze going. I'm just going to move the vehicle forward a little bit. Dave, am I going to get stuck in that mud in front of us? I just need to see where to put my tires. We don't feel like getting muddy this afternoon. So as we're gonna move along the edge of the Mara River a little bit. Ah, there's a buffalo. Bobby. Bobby's wondering, have we seen more hunting now that the migration's arrived? Bobby, the migration is about a 4-hour drive from here for me at the moment. So I've spent some time down there, but I haven't seen any hunting around the oh, actually, I lie. We saw Malika, the cheetah, try take a baby zebra in the migration, but I would say the hunting happens all year round here, and you do see more hunting and more hunting behavior here, just due to the fact of how open it is. Now there is a proper dugger boy, completely caked in mud. Now the term dugger boy comes from mixing of cement, so it is actually a relatively recent term in terms of well, I suppose where it originated. So it apparently originated on the mines in South Africa, and dugger is wet cement or sand and cement mixed, and the guys who used to mix the cement were said to be the toughest, because it is a really physically hard job to do. Now, I mean, we use those automatic cement mixers these days, but back in the day it all had to be done by hand, and they were often caked, of course, in cement, which has quite a similar look to the mud on that buffalo, and they were also said to be the hardest part, or drinking and hardest bar fighting and knife fighting group on the mines. So of course a buffalo bull has got quite a reputation for flattening people, and that's where that term of endearment, well, I'm not sure if it's a term of endearment, but the term a dugger boy comes from. Now, one of the amazing things is, even with the wind here, you can actually hear the weather coming. It's sort of a dull roar, like the ocean in the distance. Eclair is wondering whether there are more flies and insects in the Mara due to the higher rainfall. Well, yes, there are, and it's not only because of the higher rainfall, it's due to the higher animal density. So there's more dung, there's more animals to bite. Now, I think if you look carefully on these buffalo, look at his horns. Look at the amount of flies that are on his horns. Now, that's why you often find the buffalo here are far more caked in mud and spend more time wallowing than the buffalo that we see in the Sabi Sands. Just look at that massive amount of flies on him. He's feeling a bit self-conscious. Okay, well, we're going to keep moving, and we're going to try find our first decent Mara leopard sighting, but it seems Taylor is in the home of leopards, the South African Sabi Sands, and she's found one.
Hallelujah. Oh, there we go. So what just happened there is that's Shadow and her little cub. Now her little cub is very, very nervous still. She's not very relaxed. Sorry, I just need to get to Mike. Sorry. That young cub is very skittish of your car. I think, can you come and park here on this side and then look from an angle, if that's alright. She's just run into the thicket over there. You won't see her. Sorry, I just wanted to help Mike out, because you can see that the mom's a little bit distressed that a little cub has gone darting off into the bushes, and it's going to take some time for Shadow's little girl to relax. Now, Aubrey and I just stopped. We parked quite a distance away from her, at least 25 meters or so. Actually, even a bit more, maybe closer to 35 meters away from her. And we want to give her a bit of room. Shadow's fine. She doesn't mind the cars at all. You can go off-roading right next to her. Let's see if we can hear her calling her little one back. It's coming back very, very slowly. It's on its way back. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to sit quietly. It's walking in the long grass, but it's just very sensitive still. It's going to take some time. I don't know how much experience she's actually had around the cars either, and we're very lucky to have leopards so relaxed like we do in the Sabi Sand. Oh, Shadow, you are actually a beautiful leopard. I really like her. I'm just like, there's a little cub just on the other side of that shrub. We're going to see it pop out. Just look behind her. There we go. There it is. There it is, popping out just behind her. Hello, little one. Very, very sweet. So now it's going to be important. We need to try and follow where Shadow goes, but we can't off-road right behind her. We're going to have to be super careful, super cautious, because we want Shadow to stay on the property for as long as possible. And now one thing that can happen is that she's on her way towards the boundary. She's probably going to cross out by the looks of it if she's moving at such a pace already. Is she going to pop out again, Craig? She might just pop out on the edge there. There she is. You're going to see the antenna. Now, like I said, so what we're going to do is we'll just have to try and, well, what we will do is we'll just try and watch from the edge. You can see the little cub moving around there. But we don't want to get too close and cause too much distress. This is new territory for Shadow as well. She has been spending quite a bit of time here. It's very exciting. And I just hope we keep these interactions positive. And eventually that little one will take a couple of weeks, maybe even a few months of being spotted regularly and spending time with the cars. But as long as each experience is a positive one, that is what we need to happen. Right, let's move. Let me quickly pull out the way just so Aubrey can go past. And then we'll turn around. And then we will try again. But very, very skittish. I think, did you say a new viewer? We're going to settle. We're going to let these cars all move around, and then once they've moved away, then we'll keep going. Sorry, Chantal, did you say a new viewer? I couldn't quite get the first words. Vushan? You've said, right, let me just go back there. Zushan, I think. I'm so sorry. I'm having terrible trouble trying to hear Chantal this afternoon. And, okay, let's carry on. Let's see if we can find this leopard. But, the question was, I'm so sorry about that. I can't copy Chantal this afternoon. I don't know why we have maybe it's interference, maybe with the hot weather, the wind. It could have a lot to do with it, of course. But the question was, has Shadow's little girl been named yet? No, not yet. She's sort of coming to the age, so I'm not sure who is going to name her. Because as far as I'm aware, she was found on Arathusa's property. So it will be a decision to name them. So we're just going to have to just wait and see. They're just down straight ahead, Craig. Can you see them walking down the road? There they are. So we'll just watch them disappear. And this is great. The little one is going to get used to the cars stopping and starting. So it's actually good that they're a little bit on the move. And I think that was the noise that it was worried about in the beginning. But the more often that it gets the opportunity to hear those cars going on and off and driving over the odd stick or over leaves, it's going to desensitize her a lot quicker. And that's how you habituate leopards. It's not a process that happens straight away. It's most certainly a process that takes quite some time. Just going to go back for oops, just a little bit, and we'll follow him. Let's go through. We're just going to do this. We're sort of just going to stick to the roads for as long as we can. And get nice and dusty. But it's okay. This time I don't mind getting dusty, especially if we are following leopard. Maybe they're going to be kind enough to stop it for a drink at the pan. They're still just ahead. They're approaching the Shibambu pans. They're not too far off. Who knows? They're those Impala rams were hanging around there. There's often warthogs and things. Mongoose, dwarf mongoose. I want to give Mike a chance to have a view. So maybe we can somehow squeeze down there. It's going to be tough. But of course, we want everybody to have a chance and to have a look. Oh, there goes the little cub running back out onto the road. Oh, they've just disappeared around the corner, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to be patient, of course. Like I said, you can just see them disappearing behind the sticks there. There we go. So this is quite nice. So let's keep an eye. We're also going to keep an ear out to see if we can maybe hear those impala. I have just heard the southern ground hornbills calling, so that's quite nice. They're one of the most enjoyable birds to sit and watch. So we might be seeing them too. I actually saw them on my run this afternoon. They're somewhere in here. So that's something we'll also be doing. If Shadow does cross out, we'll go and look for those hornbills. I know none of you will complain to see southern ground hornbills. It'll be something quite special. After you, sir. Right. We'll let these guys go. And then we'll take the next opportunity to go in front. We'll grab that one. Just because we had a nice view in the middle of the road. And then we will carry on. Let's keep going. The first time I've seen that little girl, she's precious. She is so beautiful. Maybe they're also going to settle down. If they settle down on the road, it'll help hopefully be able to pull off and fit 3 vehicles. It's a bit tough. They've gone around the corner now. I don't think we're going to get a gap just yet, so we're just going to have to do... We're going to pretend we'll be the green mid-leads this afternoon. We'll sort of follow this windy road until we get an opportunity to have a look at those beautiful cats again. But of course, this is safaris for you, that you've got to not always get to spend an entire 2 hours in a sighting all by yourselves. We've been spoiled sometimes. The northern Sabi Sands, or the entire Sabi Sand, can be quite busy, but of course we limit the amount of vehicles that we allow in a sighting. Right. I don't know, Craig, if you can see them just going down the corner. We'll just have to watch like this, like I said. And you see the little one keeps ducking in and out of the long grass and out towards Mom. And I think Shadow's doing a good job. I think it's quite exciting to see what's going to happen over the next few months. Here she is, just popping out one last time. Let's hope that they stop for a drink at the pans. That would be ideal, if she would. And she will be looking for something else to eat. There wasn't much left on that daycare, so she could quite easily catch something else. Now, Jack's mom, you're wondering... She must be about 6 months old now or so. Hi there, sorry, I'm live. Sorry, there's lots and lots and lots of very excited people to see us. But when we are off air. Right, it seems as though there's a couple of gremlins out and about. I'm going to send you back across to Ali and hopefully we'll find some signal.
Well, how's that amazing news that we found Shadow and the cub? I'm sure you're all thrilled to see that tiny one, and I can't wait to see all the photos and just see how big it's gotten after Shadow's been hiding it for so long. Super exciting news. I'm sure he was, or I don't know why I keep calling it a he when it's a girl. I'm sure she was around this morning as well, probably looking at everyone else and all of the other leopards that were there this morning. Whew. Let's see. Such amazing news. I'm very happy. We've been bubbling about, and unfortunately the only thing that we've managed to see was a very nice herd of elephants, but unfortunately we suffered an attack from the gremlins. So I'm hoping we'll be able to find a few more while we are with you guys. Oh, before I forget, I found this earlier today that I wanted to show you, because it's one of those interesting things, because we often get asked this question now that we are in winter and during dry. I hope I didn't break it. So if you see here, I've got an old snake skin, and the scary part is that I actually found it right next to the camp. So the reason why I've saved it, and it's one of those very interesting things that you read about it, but you don't often get to see it. So when the snakes start molting their skin, and they need to get rid of the skin to then be able to grow into the bigger one, and then so on and so on and so on, when they molt, even their eyes, they start getting a bit dark, and this snake gets a bit irritated. So what they'll do is they'll go next to maybe a rock, a log, a twig, and they'll start scratching their nose. And as they start scratching around their nose, then the skin starts peeling up, but it's almost like a sock that you take it inside out. Now, I always had trouble understanding how this could essentially work until one day I was like, oh, I'm just being dumb, am I not? So, you see here, what we're seeing on the outside, this is actually the inside of the snake. So this is the part that would have been in contact with the new skin. But if you see here, then this is where it becomes a bit more interesting, where we've got it. Here we can see how it's been turned inside out. So you get a bit of a better an idea of, like, this is the outside part of the snake skin, the one that's been exposed into the elements and everything else, and this particular part over here, the one, yes, a bit further, the one that's outside, or the one that looks a bit darker and a bit more scaly, that's the part that's actually been in the inside. How crazy is this? This is incredible. And I wanted to just save it and show it to you guys, because it's one of those things that you read about often, but you never get to see it, because normally this part we wouldn't be able to see. For people that are very, very talented, some of them are able to recognize exactly which snake this was from just looking at the skin. Unfortunately, I don't have that particular skill, so I'm not too sure what it could have been. Judging by chance, I would imagine maybe something like a spotted bush snake or a variegated bush snake. That is a very pretty green snake with lots of little green dots. We actually had one in our room a few days ago in the middle of the day. Just, I don't even know how it got in, and then just wanted to get out, so all we had to do was try and open a window and let it out. But pretty long, is it not? I think somebody is probably looking at us from camp, just saying hello, and just decided to leave their winter coat behind. I'm sure they've got a brand new one, and that's why they've left it. But onwards and forwards, and I know a lot of you ask if the snakes are active during the winter months, and I would say they almost go into semi-hibernation state, and it takes them a bit longer to start moving around. We've said they normally they metabolize the food that they eat, so they don't get any heat from what they eat, but they actually have to rather get it from the elements. Jennifer, you want me to keep it for the tent? Sure thing. I will keep the snake for the tent. I'm sure it'll be interesting to try and see it at some point under the microscope and just get a bit of a closer look at what it looks on the inside and the outside, and see if perhaps we can get a much more detailed look into the snake skin. Who knows, maybe there will be even another clue in there as to what snake this potentially is. I wonder if maybe the snake actually knows the tent, because I didn't find it too far from there. So there's a very good possibility that the snake has been all around. The snake's skin is clear, but when we see it is just see-through. Well, this is just the protective layer that it's got on the top, so it protects its skin, and all its different scales from the environment, and all of the the dirt, the heat, what else is there, the twigs and everything else that might be around. So it's not taking off all of its skin, but just the outer dead layer of skin. It's almost like, if you go to the beach and then you peel, and you get very, very hot, and then you feel like you start almost like taking entire strips of skin. I don't know if it's ever happened to you. I've suffered very bad sunburns as a child, because who has time for sunscreen? And when you do like this, you'll see that your color is skin color. But when you peel them off, you see just white, or see-through almost, sometimes depending. So it's the same pretty much with the skin. It's just a dead layer of cells that you're pulling out, and not necessarily the living one that contains all of the color pigments, like, the melanin and whatever other color pigments snakes could have. Right, I was hoping also to maybe see some lion tracks around here. Let's see what else we can find around here. Maybe something else. Maybe we'll even find a snake moving around. That would be quite interesting. We did see the tracks for a snake not too long ago. And I wonder if they'll be around. A lot of the times we It's funny, when you first start tracking, you think that you see snake tracks on the road all the time, but and you know, very big fat snakes, but they're often accompanied by big elephant footprints. So it's actually just the elephant that starts dragging its trunk on the road, and then you think it's actually a snake. Ah, well, we've got a gorgeous bull over there. Let's see. See, there's a Nyala bull walking away from us, and this is a particular area that it seems like they like. It's a lot thicker than in other parts of Djuma, and I'm sure it's no coincidence that we've got them here. Are you going away? Seems like maybe he's following some of the females that we saw the other day. Okay, well, that is it for the Nyala. He's decided to carry on moving and leaving us, so we're gonna do the same. Don't want to be left at this party all by ourselves, do we? Okie dokie, let's see what's going on. Maybe some tracks. We will carry on down this road, see if perhaps we bump into anything else. I would like to see a snake today. Hopefully we'll get lucky, but let's go over to Taylor, who's driving around.
Well, we're just trying to see if we can relocate on our dear friend Shadow and her beautiful cub, but unfortunately we haven't just yet. I don't seem to have radios with the guys now, so I'm going to just check with Aubrey to see if they managed to relocate her. I think if she hasn't come out yet, I think she's made a kill. I'll tell you why in just 2 seconds. Let's ask. Oh, this is Mike, and I still don't have Game Drive Radio, so I can't ask him. No, and Aubrey seems to have moved. Oh, there he is. Let's go this way that we weren't going in earlier. Right, low range. Yeah. In we go. 4x4ing. I can just see Aubrey's vehicle up ahead, so I wonder he went in there. We waited at the pad and we thought they were coming for a drink. But now, this morning, when I was watching Shadow, she was in a tree just sitting, and then she came down the tree very elegantly, and then she ran like something was chasing her. But maybe something wasn't chasing her, maybe she was chasing something. I think that's actually what's happened, and I think she made another kill, that she's gone all the way back down that way to fetch her cub, and she's coming here. Yes, they seem to be stationary in here, so I think we're going the right way. Now we just need to keep our eyes open, because I don't want to... It's so hard to come in here quietly, and the last thing that I want to do is to give that cub a fright. So we're just going to try and go as gently and as quietly as we can, which I think probably some of you are thinking, how on earth Taylor does not know the words gentle and quietly. Let's just check here. Now, Justin, you were wondering how old is Shadow's cub as we try and search for them again. Not particularly old. I suspect around 6 months or so. She was sort of seen, I think she was seen in December, so maybe even more than that, 6.5 months. But she's little, she's very little. I think that's true, because the Styx cubs, was it? No, or did we find her in February? Now I've forgotten, now I can't. She's vanished. Now it's very easy to... in that drainage. Okay, I'm going to go back to tree. I didn't go all the way to Treehouse Dam. I was just listening to see if I could hear the birds alarming, but there was nothing. But I'll try again. I'll go around. Okay, so we're planning. We can't seem to relocate her in here, but I can't tell you how tall the grass is. It's well over 3 foot tall. In some places even a little bit more, probably as tall as what I am. And loads of bush willows, loads of little leadwoods and silver cluster leaves, which is making it very difficult to, of course, see. And if she has killed something, Shadow is unlike most leopards that would take their kills up a tree. She seems to just put it on very low-lying branches, on little bush willows and things like that. But she doesn't hoist it all the way up to the top, and which is a little bit silly that she doesn't do that. I don't know why she can't. Maybe she has an injury that's limiting, is inhibiting her, to taking something up a tree. Or perhaps she just doesn't like it. Maybe she's not as strong as what other leopards are. We can only really speculate. I don't really know what the issue is there. But it means that she loses a lot of kills to hyenas, that I can tell you right now. Now, if you were a clever hyena, you'd just follow Shadow around, there we go, Craig, and snatch her kills when she catches them. Especially now, I think it's important that she tries to hide them as well as what she can with her little cub. Because if she's there by her little one's side, constantly feeding on a carcass, then I think that little cub is going to have a better chance of survival. Because the more often Shadow has to go away and leave her cub on her own, it's the same thing for lizard lions. I just stowaway stick underneath the car. Is that, of course, they have a risk of being eaten or attacked by something like that. Right, but she's given us the slip. And that's fine. She showed herself to us, which was really nice. I'm so happy about that we got to see her quickly. And it does make my heart dance with joy to know that she wasn't crossing south out of our traverse. She was actually going back into that drainage line where she sprinted off earlier today. So that helps me put my mind at ease, because I was really worried the whole day. I couldn't work out why Shadow ran away. But now I know she was chasing after something. I'm not going to go in on foot, and I don't think any of us are going to go in on foot. We just saw the reaction that Shadow had with her. Very good reaction. She disappeared for the entire day. She was fine with the cars again when she was up in the tree, but I can imagine that little one must have got a fright, and maybe that's why it's also reacting the way it is to the cars. It's just a little bit unsettled, sort of a little bit nervous. But eventually, once we have sightings like what we've just had with her, and even if this is the end of it, that's perfect, because Shadow's little cub goes away remembering that sound of the engine starting, and not knowing it as something to fear. We want her to associate the cars with just normal life, really, every day, like we're just a cloud passing over type thing. Obviously not, we make a bit of noise, but they get used to that. You see how relaxed you see how relaxed, of course, Tamba and Shongile were this morning. They didn't even blink an eyelid. So we'll keep checking. I just get my radio to work. It's quite interesting. Right? Because I would really like to, if I find her again, I want to tell everybody where she is so we can have another look. Okay, we're going to just check Treehouse Dam very quickly. Just one last time. And hopefully we're going to find them maybe just coming down into the drainage, into the shadows, or we're going to find another leopard. That would be quite nice. But Ali has gone from talking about dung beetles and all sorts and snake skins, and she's found herself a rather large buffalo.
Yes, I'm super excited that we actually managed to find this 2 buffalo, because I hadn't seen not even one in the time that I've been back at Djuma. So yay, we've got 2 buffaloes, 2 bull buffaloes enjoying what looks like a very, very dry old attempt of a mud wallow. I think likely they're down here because it's a lot cooler. They're in the sand, and I'm sure they're feeling a bit better. Hello. Right, we've got normally the old bulls are the ones that tend to stick around together in smaller groups. They don't always accompany the very big herds in their movements and when they go around. Probably they just get tired of having to walk so far for water and food and having so many little youngsters running around. So we'll often find them together in smaller groups. That's what I meant. Hello, away from the ladies. Even the one at the back is actually having a very good sleep, and it almost seemed for a moment that he had a bit of a scar, but he doesn't. So you see, the one in front of us, he's busy ruminating. So he's chewing the cud, as they also say. He is busy trying to masticate and chew and make everything else that he's been eating into smaller pieces, so that once they go into the first stage of his digestion, which is in almost like, a sack called a rumen, that everything's then going to be able to sink down to the bottom and then carry on passing through the rest of his digestive system. Now, a lot of the times when they're eating, things that they eat are not cut down properly. So imagine the rumen is like a big sack almost, that is full of different enzymes and acids and everything else. So in order for everything to start being digested, they've got to sink to the bottom, and to sink to the bottom, they've got to be cut into a lot of smaller pieces. And if it's not cut into smaller pieces, or if it's not cut into small enough, then that's when they'll regurgitate and bring back that cut into their mouth and start chewing it again, which is exactly what the two of them are doing in that funny way of almost like chewing gum. And then once everything manages to start getting into the different phases of their digestion, then everything will come out. But they've got a magnificent digestive system, and a lot of the times whatever goes in, it takes a few days to come out. So it's a system that works a lot more efficiently and more slowly than the one, for example, of an elephant, where it's a lot quicker and things go in and sometimes pretty much come out roughly as the way that they came in. So the life of a buffalo. Are you oh my goodness. Edward, you were saying that buffalo horns look like old grandma hairstyles. Yes, in a way. They always remind me of those wigs that the judicial people and lawyers used to wear in the 1800s when they had their courts and everything else. So I suppose grandma hairstyle is also like that, but you see just how rugged it is, how worn down. So we are in presence of two older bulls. And funny enough, the top part of the horn, that's called the boss. And normally in males, we'll find that it's a lot bigger, or the middle part is a lot more pronounced than in the females. And it's because when buffaloes fight with other buffaloes for a hierarchy, or for their spot in the dominance hierarchy of a particular herd, or if they are trying to mate with the female, then they'll do it head on. So obviously they need a bit of extra protection so that their head doesn't get concussed, or their brains, once they start fighting against one another. But you see, there's no aggression whatsoever with these two ones here. And there was a third one that was joining them, but he's moved off, and I'm not too sure where he's gone. I think perhaps he's gone somewhere into the bushes. Maybe somewhere there we see a horn. Yep. One extra buffalo horn there. So there are three of them around here, and I wonder, because we've had lion tracks coming all the way up and down, and we're not too far from the last spot where we saw the Nkahuma, so I wonder if perhaps there could be a female not too far from here, if the lions are going to make their way back into the area. So many possibilities to play with. However, I think that for this afternoon, they are quite happy to be where they are. I don't think there's much mud, if any, left there, but I'm sure the sand is a lot cooler than the rest of the environment around here. Like we said, yeah, barely any water there, but I'm sure they've chosen this spot on purpose to try and cool themselves down a little bit, because today has been a particularly hot day. These guys are still looking in very good condition. Look at all of those muscles. Very heavy horns that they carry around. I mean, I've found buffalo horns that I cannot lift over my head just because they are so heavy. So I would say maybe sometimes they can be up to 15-20 kilograms. Imagine carrying that on your head all day long. But it is, their best way of protection. And the tips of the horns can be quite sharp. So when lions start hunting buffalo, they've always got to be careful of their horns. Buffaloes are very strong creatures, and they definitely know how to defend themselves. So I'm sure you've seen around some photos of when lion hunts go bad and buffaloes manage to pretty much horn people, or well, not people, the animals, or just skewer them with their horns, and then you'll have a lion hanging by a leg in between the horns of the buffalo, or perhaps maybe sometimes they get those horns in between their jaws at the bottom part. So they can prove to be quite deadly, and it's definitely not one of those animals that you want to not make friends with, despite the fact that they are looking so peaceful today. You see this guy? We find little bits of mud all over his body. So because it's been so hot, I'm sure they've been mud wallowing or trying to, like they are trying to in this particular spot that we're in, because they use the mud to protect their skin. So as they get older, they also, like humans, they start losing hair, so they need a bit of extra protection from the sun. Now that we've seen how beautiful they are, why don't we go across to Brent in the Mara, who's got their #1 enemy.
Now, this is one of the amazing things about being out here. I have absolutely no idea who this young rogue is in the Four Big Boys territory. I've never seen him before. He's looking fat and happy, but strange enough, this is the exact same spot where we actually saw one of those big boys mating with a lioness a few days ago, and now we've got a young interloper. Well, now, where have you come from, little man? Well, not so little. His mane's little, but his body is beastly. He looks like he's going to be a very big male lion. Now, there are 2 coalitions of 6 male lions that I know about, but he could have come from afar. So it's very interesting, and there's a constant shift in lion dynamics in this area, with young males becoming independent and moving around. The big boys must not be around. So fascinating. So I guess he's probably 2.5, 3 years old, maybe close to 3, I would say. And you see he's already got some war wounds on his back. And the life of a nomadic young male lion is tough. It's always easier when you got some friends. I'm wondering if he isn't part of one of those bigger coalitions who's just meandered a bit further from everyone else. Now, unfortunately, we would love to spend some more time here, but we can't stay too long, as I think we are in danger of getting drenched. Not just wet, but truly and utterly drenched. As we can see, the dark skies all around us.